So I have done a lot of stuff in between episodes. I took my single piece of glowstone, took 4 of them out, made a glowstone block, and then that allowed me to add redstone to it and get the redstone lamp that I needed for the chickens. I've thrown a bunch of seeds around just to liven it up a little bit. This is no longer necessary. Everything that is here that could be put into the transmutation table has been, so this is just to kind of sprig that up a little bit. So I've got these lamps down. They're going to make the eggs hatch even faster. And these guys are tugging right along. While I'm over here, this guy, the soul sand chicken, came straight out of the quest book. When I put him down, he was a baby. He was the only one that was like that. So just a heads up, if your chicken has a giant head and a little body, he needs to mature before he can start cycling up. So just something to be aware of. This is what the adult looks like, and that is how it came out straight out of the quest book. So anyway, these guys are moving right along, and so what our eventual goal with these guys is going to be is, because they produce so much stuff, the clay, the feather, and the chicken manure that they produce all have AMC values, and these guys just produce forever. That's all they do. So our eventual goal is to essentially streamline everything that the chickens produce into this transmutation table. So even though we may not be using, a single piece of clay infinitely, they are always going to be contributing to our EMC production. You can see we're almost at 1 million, and this is just an extremely slow builder style way of playing. So, an update on the chickens. Nothing has spawned, but I did log in maybe 2 hours ago or so, and the updater, the Twitch client it hasn't been updated with the patch, but the patch itself has been updated that it says beta release, so I'm assuming that the patch is going to be released probably in the next day or maybe even in a few hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for that, and because we're waiting on that, we're just gonna get into some other stuff before we move on with chickens. And what I want to get into right now is ArchitectureCraft, and that's gonna help us set up for, what am I doing down here? That's gonna help us get set up for some later stuff. So first of all, we need orange dye, and I threw the dandelion in here, which gives us red dye, and a poppy, which is gonna give us, the dandelion gives us yellow dye, and the poppy gives us red dye. And then we're just gonna mix these guys together to get orange dye, and we're gonna throw one in there, and that's going to give us the dyes that we need for these tools. So we need a stick and an iron, so 5 iron, 3 sticks, 7 iron, 7 sticks. Wait, this is just wood, and so 11 iron, 8 sticks. Anything that has an EMC value, you just want to throw into the table just to save you later, just so you don't have to keep doing it over and over again. So let's grab our pulley back out, and this guy, and that should be this. See, so we're just gonna throw all this stuff in here, and this also works if you accidentally ore mine your base, or excavate your base and you lose everything, at least you can get your stuff back. So there's ArchitectureCraft made up and ready to go. We're just gonna throw some stuff. This is oak slabs. We're just gonna get a stack of that out and put a few more things down. This thing, I will eventually get around to making the Tinker's Construct smeltery, so that we can make a better pickaxe and get that out of there. I was just messing around with the the chicken eggs and made a block of obsidian, and it's just like there forever. Okay, so there's that. Did I throw a chest in here? That would be handy. I did not. So let's get some more oak wood out and make a chest. Okay. And then, so now, rather than continuing to have to make them, we'll just pull them straight out of there. Okay, so this is now ArchitectureCraft. Oh, I also threw the chisel in here, so I lost that recording. So what I wanted to show you is the eye chisel, and I believe most any tool that you can actually throw in the transmutation table. You see how this has a little bit of durability damage and its EMC value is just under 9,500. If you want a undamaged brand new one, you can pull it out of the transmutation table, and you see it costs just a little bit more, and then you can throw that back in there and it'll refund what was left on the tool. This is really handy if you are a builder. So ArchitectureCraft, with this I wanted to get into Binnie's. I have never seen anybody play with this mod. I don't know if it's just that I don't watch enough like modded builders or what, but I have literally never seen anybody play with Binnie's. So we're going to do that, and my plan is these spaces right here are going to become raised flower beds, and this is where we're going to do Binnie's. We're going to do Binnie's here, and then we're going to do bees on the other side. Both of these mods are breeding mods, just like the chicken mods. So these are all time-consuming mods that are, well, the bees can make resources that we don't have, like ice. They can make different blocks that will be cool to build with. But Binnie's is almost exclusively a builder's mod or a completionist mod, just if you want to do it. But as you can see with Binnie's, there's tons of blocks in here. And these all come from dyes, like deep pink. There's no other way to get this stuff. There's really pretty stuff in here. There's a lot of interesting flowers. There are different tree types. There's like mixed wood blocks. These are the trees and pollen. You get butterflies that will naturally spawn, and they like float around the world. They're animated butterflies, and looks like there's some different fruits in here. These are some of the different woods and the wood blocks that you can get out of them. Some doors, and these guys look really cool. These apple and birch wood planks. There's all kinds of stuff in Binnie, so we're gonna get into that. We're gonna make these raised flower beds, and so I wanted to get into ArchitectureCraft to do that. To update, a chicken spawned. I did not cheat this chicken in. I didn't cheat either one of these in. Apparently these guys actually spawn naturally if you get lucky enough, because that's not one of my chickens. My 1010 log chicken is sitting safely over here. Now, because that vanilla chicken spawned, we were able to get eggs, and as you can see, I have all of the dye chickens now, which is why you need the vanilla eggs. So these guys are just going to slowly work their ways up to 10-10-10. I think this is something that I forgot to mention in the last episode. The chickens have to be separated from one another in order to lay eggs that are actually mutated into better stats. If they are adjacent to each other, they will only ever crossbreed and throw like same stat eggs. I don't remember the mod acting like that, but it seems to be the way it is in this version. The only chicken that did not do that was the water egg. This guy threw mutated eggs consistently, but he was the only one that did that. So I don't know if it's a tier thing or I don't know. But this is why they are set up the way that they are. And so that's how that works. Moving on, this is our Binnie setup. Now, this is ArchitectureCraft and Chisels and Bits, as well as a little bit of vanilla thrown in there. They don't connect on the corner. I have one over here that I left to demonstrate. This is how they actually look when you set them up. So the corners that they have on them are chisels and bits. This is 2 blocks. This is 1 block here, and then this is a little piece of another block. And these are our light fixtures. Now these are functioning light sources. These are also 2 blocks. I just put the lantern on the top and then the stems on the bottom. These are copy and pasted, and then I took oak leaves. Let's see which bag they are in. These guys, I took the bits of oak leaves and decorated each one individually, so it looks like they're overgrown in. So even though these are copy pasta lanterns, the leaves on them are organic, just so that they don't look quite so, you know, symmetrical, identical, I guess. You can walk through these. You get stuck a little bit on this one. It's a little too low here. But you can absolutely walk through that as is. And so these are our raised flower beds. Oh, these guys, if you hold down shift, you can lay them down flat, you know, horizontally. So I made a little bit of a lattice out of it. And because I wanted this to have a little bit of an overgrown look, because we're going for, you know, the druid theme, and I feel like a druid probably isn't going to be that interested in the most like pristine manicured gardens ever. I went ahead and threw some vines on them, and I poked a few holes in the lattice and put vines there so that we get a little bit of interest going on in the flower beds themselves. And yeah, so this is going to be where we grow our Binnie stuff, and these holes in the lattice will actually also serve a purpose. These are beauty and function. Binnie's has soil properties to it, like acidity, pH balance, things like that. And dampness, or the moisture in the soil, is one of those things. And the way that soil gets dampened is by rain or adjacent water puddles. So these holes in the lattice are actually going to be strategic for the flowers that we place here, as opposed to a flower like over here, which is going to be growing on dry soil, and so will have to be a different flower type or it won't thrive there. So this is our Binnie setup, and oh, this is one of the lanterns without the leaves on it. So this is the base template. The way that you clear a design is just to throw it in your personal crafting grid, or I suppose a regular one. So what we want to do is, let's say we want, let's start with these guys. The way that I did this is to right click with the positive chisel design, and then I'm going to come over here, and I found that it was easiest to put a bit down in the corner like that. See that little green bit? And then click mouse over that. Oh, now it's not gonna work. Well, fine. Let's get the right texture. There we go. So you just right click on the bit and it'll just pop it in right there. So then we're gonna empty that out. We're gonna click the top of it, and it's gonna copy it over. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put a little bit right on top, and then we're gonna target that bit, and there we go. So it was just that simple. I did it all the way around. Now the ArchitectureCraft actually has corner pieces, but if you look at you can see the black outline of that block. This is a full block, so it doesn't work as an inside corner because you can't put any like dirt inside of it. It only works as an outside piece. So I used it as an outside piece, and then like I said, I just went ahead and made my own, very quickly made a little Chisels and Bits design for those pieces. And then these guys were very easy as well. You just, positive design, you just take a copy of them. If we put a chisel right there, bam, we throw it on top. These guys are a little bit more complicated in placement, but the idea is still the same, where we would just grab that. We're gonna grab the top of it and then throw it on top with a bit like so. And that is exactly how I did this. And then I took these oak leaves and just kind of went crazy with it, like just, you know, all over the place. Just scattered them around underneath, just like this, you know, on all four sides, and that's it. That's all it was. It looks really complicated. It's not in the slightest. It's just a time sink more than anything. So that's how this this has been going. Let's get some food. I didn't murder a bunch of chickens. I got this out of the transmutation table. So yeah, so this is Binnie's, and what I'm going to do is, oh, you see I extended this bottom area out because the bees is going to be a relatively large build. So in this pack, there's a mod called Career Bees, which is a bit of a silly take on the bee mod, and this is what I initially noticed was the electrician princess. I'm going to make this bee, even though it is a harmful bee, just for funsies. My husband is currently in an electric apprenticeship, and so I'm gonna make this just to show him. But there are actually useful bees in here, and one of them is the tax collector bee. Now, this guy does something a little funny. She takes items from mobs, including hostile mobs, without killing them. So as a druid, I was thinking, you know, how can I make a more interesting mob grinder than just, well, a mob grinder? You know, the things that you would see in literally every Let's Play ever. So what about a humane mob grinder where we are actually not going to kill the mobs? We're going to kind of set up a bit of a pen for them, and we're basically just going to pilfer their items with bees rather than grinding them up into mash. In a different, I think this is also Binnie's. Yes, there is beer in this. And so I was thinking what I'm going to do is rebuild this entire shrine into a full-on monastery, kind of like a hermit retreat. It's going to go right here. We're going to put the bees in, and we're going to do the beer, like the fermenting and the bottling. We're going to do all of that process here. And that bee area is going to be what kicks off our mob farm. So it's kind of a chain, the builds that we're working on, but they're all going to go together. And so I extended this platform out because I figured I would need because I figured I would just randomly leap off of my island there. But I figured I would need a basement area to work in for automation. Set the initial foundations for this build down just so that I know how much room I need, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on Binnie's, and we're going to get the initial bees going, and then we'll see what crops we need to set the beers up. Not beers. I do know that hops is in here. I think I found one somewhere. I have a hop. I can't remember how I got it. I think I just broke some grass or something and it dropped. There, we have 2 hops. I'm going to just assume that that's a part of it, but again, I have to kind of do some research and figure out how exactly to get that going, what kind of farms that we need. And yeah, so that's what we're looking at right now. Okay, so we are back, and I've done a little bit. I put down the foundation for where the little monastery is gonna go. I think it's gonna probably extend out quite a ways that way, but for now this will get us started. Honestly, this could probably all be a bee area, but I'm gonna make use of the basement more than anything for for automation and stuff like that. I don't want that up here. It's just kind of ruining the aesthetic, and then I can do an actual workshop aesthetic down on the lower level anyway, and so that they won't clash or interfere with each other. So this is the start. Ignore the just shenanigans that is going on up there. I haven't even touched the roof. I'm not sure about the color blocks. As you can see, everything's kind of everywhere. I do like these guys. I'm gonna put little incense sticks coming out of them, and so the bells. I actually made the bells out of gold, but let me just take them out. They are horrendously ugly in the actual gold block. Like, there isn't, if you look at it compared to the wooden ones, there is no depth to this color grading. It's just a yellow glob. So I did make them out of gold, but they look infinitely better in the wood blocks, just because there's actually some depth to that coloration. Or this is just hideous. So we got problems everywhere. This looked better it's, you know, by itself, floating in space. The birch, I think, is a little too much contrast. And like I said, just ignore the roof. I haven't touched that at all. This is terracotta with ArchitectureCraft. This is black terracotta. I don't think I like anything about any of this. Like, this is mostly just, this could have been done in a creative world, because this is just testing the blocks, really. The only thing that I really like is the wooden bells. Obviously, the problem with the wooden bells is they probably don't make much noise. But they do have, like, the little clapper in there. They're fully chiseled 3D bells. They're just the only part of this build that is worth it right now. Oh, I changed the color, the carpet color, to red as well. I think that looks really good. I like that and the bells. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of this, but anyway, I did have to set up the smeltery, because you may have noticed that this thing requires and yeah, it requires a better pickaxe than what I had on me, so I just threw this together, just very, very tiny. Note of warning, don't take a lava egg and stand right here and right click the egg into the smeltery, because the egg does not right click into the smeltery, and it will in fact crack the egg on your head and take you down to half heart. Don't ask me how I know that. Anyway, so let's get started on Binnies. So to get started, you are going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a lot of dirt. You're going to need a lot of bone meal. You're going to need a trowel. I'm using a diamond one just because, well, I can now. And you're also going to need weed killer. And weed killer is crafted with 3 seeds and a spider eye, I believe. Yeah. Very easy recipe, and that gives you 4, so you don't lose anything there. You absolutely need the weed killer, because the weeds spread so fast in this mod that it just, don't even try it without weed killer. You're gonna drive yourself insane. So what we first want to do is turn this regular dirt into Binnie's dirt, and we do that by right clicking with the trowel, and we see it gets this really nice new texture. So we're gonna run around here. Now, you see this, apparently that is interfering. You see this blue texture as opposed to this green texture over here. That blue texture is indicative of the soil moisture. So right around this water pool, we're gonna want to plant flowers that need more moisture in the soil. See, there's already a weed right there. So we're going to take our bone meal, and we're going to turn our dirt into loam, which is the next step up as far as nutrients in the soil. And there is a third step called flower bed, but we I don't actually know. I don't know how to break. I'm sure that there's a tool to break weeds without breaking the dirt, but I don't actually know where it is. So now let's run over here and hit up all of our dirt with weed killer. Well, that one broke the weed just fine. Can I target? Okay, it's just got a weird hitbox. So I hope you've seen that. The hitbox was not dead center. It was like off to the side. Okay, so now we should have no more weeds growing on this grass, this loam. So now what you want to do is you want to take your vanilla flowers. So this is just bone mealing regular grass blocks and getting vanilla flowers. And you want to plant them in alternating rows. Seems like one should go right there. But I guess it's just the way they're sitting. And what's going to happen is that these guys are slowly going to start cross-pollinating, and just like the chickens, when they're adjacent to each other, they're going to essentially crossbreed and make new flowers and new color combinations. So let's just get these last guys in here. Let's put a red one there. Okay. Oh, look, this is already a new one. Oh, this is a dying one. Okay, so poppies apparently don't do very well in really moist soil. The dandelion looks like it's dying too. So none of these flowers do well in extremely wet soil. So while that is going on over there, I'm just gonna run over here really quick, take care of this flower bed, and maybe by the time we go back we'll have already cross pollination. Just run around here really fast. That is a very strange hitbox, but it's fine. Let's throw down our weed killer. We are apparently not GMO druid. I don't know. Let's see, anything new? Not yet. Okay, well I'm going to set up this other flower bed, and I will bring you guys back when we have our first cross-pollination. Alright, we are back. It has not been long. It has been maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes since I shut the recording off. And we have an explosion of new flowers over here, as well as dead stuff. The flowers just straight up died. These guys are decaying. There's another animation where they're kind of, they almost look like the weeds, and then they turn into dead flowers. But if you look around, we have new stuff. We have a I don't even know. A forget. We've got yarrow, a hydrangea, a coneflower? Coneflower? I don't know why I tried to put an accent on that. Some of these I have never... Dianthus? I have no idea what these are. They're very pretty colors. Dahlia? That looks like that might be a pink poppy. Yeah, so we're getting stuff all over the place. So these are definitely coming in, and this is what the mod does. They just cross-pollinate viola and give you new ooh, what is this? Foxglove. That one grew up, doing strong there, buddy. So this is Binnie's. This is the flower portion of Binnie's. That is a very pretty color. That is very close to my favorite color. It's a little bit more red than that, but that is very pretty. This is the flower portion of Binnie's, and so what we're gonna do, our goal is simply to get these raised flower beds to be chock full of really pretty unique flowers, and just kind of let them do their thing. You can use them. There's like if we go here and hit U for uses, there are machines from Binnie's that will make use of these flowers, and I believe that they can be used for dyes as well. For the most part, I'm just gonna let them do their thing and just look interesting. We may do something with them later. Let me stop walking in a circle, it's probably dizzying. We may wind up doing something later depending on what all is involved in the brewing process. But for the most part, like I said, we just want to have these nice raised gardens, and I just kind of wanted to play with the mod. I just wanted to see what it would look like, how it would act. It's really cool looking, I think, with all of these vines. This little lattice green. Oh, here's a decaying flower. So that's what it looks like when the flower is actually dying. There's an azalea. Ooh. But yeah, so that's the mod. And this thing that I have here, a soil meter, it's just made with iron, I think 3 pieces of gold and a piece of redstone, and it just tells you what the soil is. So like this is damp with neutral pH, this is normal moisture with neutral pH, and there are ways that you can make it more acidic or more alkaline, and ways, I think it said put gravel or sand down to reduce moisture, and then put more water to, you know, to make it more wet. Whatever it is that you're going after. Oh, that one just disappeared. There is a way to clip these germlings and actually plant them so that they don't continuously cross-pollinate over and over and over again. I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to kind of let them go and do what they're going to do. I may nab some that I really, really like. There's the forget. Ooh. Oh, there's an azalea. These are really cool looking. I may nab some that I really, really want to put into, I would like to put them in flower pots, but it's been my experience that any kind of modded flower doesn't really work like that. So I don't know. Like I said, excuse me, for the most part, this is just what's going to happen over here. Every time we look over here, there's going to be different flowers in the raised flower beds. Ooh, that one just popped up. Anyway, so that's gonna do it for me, guys. I will see you next time. I hope you have a great day. Bye.